Hey everyone, I've got my 2014 LS460 here, and today I'm going to be trying to restore my steering wheel. So I bought this vehicle used. It's got over 100,000 miles on it, and for the most part it's in pretty good condition. However, the steering wheel really bugs me, and I don't think the camera really catches it that well. But you can see maybe a little bit of maybe fingernail digging, or maybe somebody had a ring on it. And then here, I don't know if you can hear that, like right about here, there's just some weird funny texture, and I think that's just been worn down. So I was doing some research, and I live in Houston, so there's a lot of companies that can repair the steering wheel. Some say they can, some they say they can't, but I found online that Leatherique sells a restore kit for steering wheels, and what that includes is a Leatherique prep solution, which cleans off the oils and all of the waxes and stuff that went on it before, and you will have to wet sand with that. And then you've got a dye, because you'll be basically sanding this down to smooth. In my case, I think I'm going to apply a little bit of crack filler, which was extra from the kit, because I think those may be a little deep, but we'll see. And so you prep, you fill, and then you dye with this, and you'll either use a spray or a blotting or wiping technique, and then you let that dry. And then I have a top coat, which I guess will give it some of its shine back, depending on how you want it, whether you want it matte or shiny. So anyway, this kit ran about $25. The crack filler was 10. With shipping and everything said and done, it was about 50 bucks. So I wanted to just kind of add to the YouTube library of things to do. And I don't have another person here to help me film. I don't have any kind of weird tripod or anything like that. So I'll probably update after every step. So it does come with a set of instructions, and the instructions are also on the bottle. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to wet sand 400 to 600. And I don't expect anybody to read that text on the video, but it says to wet sand from 400 to 600 with the cleaning solution, or maybe 400 with the cleaning solution or the prep solution, and then 600 to finish it off, and then apply the crack filler if needed. So I will update that when I get to that point. But thanks for clicking on the video, and hopefully this is useful for others who are trying to just repair a steering wheel in general, not necessarily a LS one. All right, be right back. Got done with the first step of wet sanding with the prepping agent at 400 grit sandpaper. Now, I didn't have 400, unfortunately, but I did have 600 and 800. So the instructions recommend 400 to 600, so I'll just have to try 600 to 800. So totally my fault for not having the right tools or equipment to get this thing going. I did forget to mention that since this area was the only part that I wanted to address, mainly this from here to here, I did mask off the area to make sure that I wouldn't sand over. So prepping is kind of a good idea, you know, with your light sanding motion. And so I mainly just did the whole front part that I'd see. I didn't touch any of the stitching on the bottom or the back side, because again, this is just aesthetically for me to fix. And it's a lot better. You know, I've never done anything like this, and it is really kind of uneasy sanding a steering wheel, which will cost you maybe $600-700 used on eBay, maybe in better condition. So it's a little again, it makes you anxious, but I did it, and you can see I did knock down some of those low spots, those gouges, and it isn't necessarily smooth. It's, well, I think a lot is done right here. I could go a little harder, which I probably will, but just wanted to give you an update. This is what 600 grit sandpaper looks like, so I'm still going to work on that. Make sure you keep your sandpaper wet, and after each pass, I've been wiping it down so I get all the contaminants off. And I'll probably go a little bit more for 600, and then I'll hit it with the 800, and I'll just do that, and we'll see how that turns out. But so far so good. Hopefully I don't go too deep, but I think we'll be all right. I'll update you in a minute. All right, guys, so back again. So I'm done sanding. Everything is smooth to the touch. I don't know how well you can tell, but everything's smooth. Those gouges are gone. So good news is I don't have to use the crack filler, which is awesome. And so after the prep stage, you're sanding, you're cleaning, you're taking off all the old dye and blah, blah, blah. And you're making the surface receptive to the new dye. So what I'm going to do next is pour the dye into a container, and I don't have a brush. So the instructions say you can use like a really high quality acrylic brush to brush it on, use a air gun, or use a wipe dye technique, I think it was. And so it's like you're basically just kind of blotching or using a bounty paper towel soaked in water, and you wring it dry as best as possible, and then you dip it in the dye, and then you just kind of go at it. I think I'm gonna go that way, and it's not because I'm cheap, though. This is the cheaper route. It's just this video is made during the whole COVID-19 coronavirus scare, and for me to go out and get all that stuff, it's okay. And I think the best part about this is if something doesn't look right, I can always sand it down with a really fine grit sandpaper and start over. So I guess the biggest thing here is all of the weird textures, the fingernail gouging, ring tearing, carnage that was on the steering wheel is gone. So that's pretty neat. So I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do the dyeing, which requires, I think, at least a day or two of drying, which is perfectly fine. And I might pick up somewhere in between, but if not, I'll see you guys then. So I'll be back with another clip it. Alright guys, so I am back again. So this is the setup. I've got the dye, and I've got my bounty towel that's been wetted and dried as best as possible. So what I'm doing is putting it into like a puff, dipping real light, and then doing swirl marks around the areas that I sanded. And as you can tell, it's actually looking pretty good. So you're supposed to wait till it dries in between coats, and it's water based, and since I'm applying really thin coats, it's not taking very long. But I went ahead and just got my blow dryer to assist me with it, to make things a little faster and to make sure that it is drying. So it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go for another thin coat here. Do that. All right. And then you can see here, I'm gonna swirl it on. And I'm guessing the whole swirl motion, according to the instructions, is just to make sure that it gets into all the little pores that you created with all the sanding, right? And you can see it looks a little wet, or hopefully you can tell on camera. Go ahead and dry that. And it's really neat because it blends in pretty well. So I'm gonna go over it a few more times and hopefully get everything straight. But man, best 25 to 50 bucks I've spent for car do-it-yourself things. And whether it holds up, it'll definitely be the big question. However, since I bought this car used, like I said, it was mainly from here to here that had the issue. I drive normally on the side or on the bottom, and so I normally wouldn't touch this anyway, but maybe I'll do an update video. But so far so good. Yeah, I'll update you here in a second after I get all the coats applied. All right, back again guys. So I finished applying quite a bit of thin coats. it's one of those things where I think I applied them so light where I always went back and was like, I'll just do one more. I'll just do one more. However, I am just so thoroughly impressed. It's not perfect. I think my sanding job and prepping job could have been better. However, again, I'm not sure how you can tell on video, but I had a lot of scuffs here. And I'm not really trying to touch the steering wheel very much, but you can see a lot of it's gone. This side was normally pretty good anyway, but a lot of the problem lied up top, and then I know I had a few gouges around here, and maybe you can tell where they may have been, but it's really, really hard, even if you know where to look. So really, really impressed. I have to let the dye dry, or the paint dry, for 48 hours. Well, that's what's recommended. Unfortunately, I don't have to drive this car every day. So I'll probably leave this here at home for 2 days, maybe even 3, and I'll get back at it and then apply a top coat. And I have to reread what that is, but I think that's just like a protective layer. And I will want to do that for sure for at least what I did today. So I'll pick up this video here in maybe 2 to 3 days when I have time again to look at this, to work on the steering wheel. However, man, it's freaking awesome what you can do if, I don't know, you just need to get over your own fears. And I think that's the biggest part of DIY stuff is you rather pay a professional. I'm gonna mess it up, but I think the biggest thing mentally to get over is it's already messed up. You're not gonna mess it up that much worse, and you'll have to pay somebody anyway. So thanks for watching so far, and I'll pick this video right back up when I come back to check on it in a few days. Thanks. All right, everyone. So last clip or cut in for this video. So I am done. I applied the clear coat to it, and it is a bit shinier than the bottom portion. So this is the portion I didn't touch. You can see it's not necessarily matte, but kind of satinish. There's a little shine to it versus the top where you can see complete gloss. So I've read online that the clear coat starts off shiny, and after you use it a couple times, or after you run your hands over it, that sheen seems to wear off, and it's just a nice UV protecting coat. Now, I don't think it's perfect, not in any way. You can still see maybe some contaminants, maybe some dust or dirt got in there. And then also, since I didn't use like an air sprayer, you can still see some dye marks. I guess like if you were to use a brush and you were to put it on, you'd see some streaks. It's not totally noticeable, but if you're looking for it, you can see it. However, I am genuinely impressed with the kit. I'm happy with it. It's better than what it was. It didn't take very long, and it looks okay to me. So this is my 2014 LS460, and I was able to restore or repair some of the lower spots and some of the orange peelish stuff up top that's been worn down over time. So I'm really happy with it. I hope you guys are a little inspired to give it a try too. Good luck.